Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at an industry that, for well over a decade, was seen as the perfect business model. I mean, it was almost a guarantee of unlimited profits, software as a service or SaaS.
That's right.
But our sources are all pointing to this fundamental shift. The entire economic foundation of the industry seems to be collapsing, and it's all because of generative AI.
It's what some are calling the end of the all-inclusive era for software.
Exactly. And before we really unpack this dramatic change, this, system-level change in unit economics, if you want more deep dives just like this delivered straight to you, please just take a moment to subscribe right now.
It really helps.
Our mission today is to help you understand why your favorite SaaS apps are probably about to start charging you for things that, well, used to be free.
You know, the crisis, at its heart, is really a physics problem disguised as a business problem. For a decade, the success of SaaS was built on this beautiful economic premise.
That the marginal cost was basically nothing?
Exactly, near zero. You build the software once, and every new user, every new feature was pretty much pure profit. But the moment generative AI walks in the door, it just fundamentally changes the unit of economics.
Okay, let's unpack that. That distinction is critical. What was the old unit and what's the new one?
Well, the old unit was the seat. You'd pay a flat monthly fee for a user license. It was the right to sit at the digital table, so to speak.
And it didn't matter if that user logged in once a month or, 20 times a day?
Not at all. The provider's cost was static, but the new unit is the inference. And that's the computational cost that's incurred every single time a user hits generate or asks the AI a question.
And that cost it's not zero.
It's variable, it's physical, and it is definitely not trivial.
So we've moved from paying for a fixed right to access something to paying for, variable physical consumption. And that's the shockwave hitting whole ecosystem.
That is the core of the crisis.
So let's start with those traditional SaaS economics, this zero marginal cost mirage. If you think about the legacy platforms like a CRM or project management tools, if a user saves a document or closes a task,
The cost is minuscule.
right, fractions of a penny.
And that's the magic of pure software right there.
Yeah.
That reality is what allowed those companies to get these wildly healthy gross margins.
We're talking like what, 80 to 90%?
Oh, easily, 80 to 90%. And that margin, it protected them from almost everything. It funded all that growth. It was just a phenomenal high-leverage business model.
But then you introduce what you're calling the AI cost attack, and that pristine margin is just instantly under siege.
Instantly, because now, every time a user asks the AI to draft this email or generate an outline, the software provider is footing a direct bill from, say, NVIDIA or one of the big cloud giants.
That leads straight to the margin squeeze.
It does. Sources are showing that integrating just a few of these AI-heavy features can drag those, untouchable 90% margins down sharply, sometimes into the 50s or even 40% range.
Wow.
And when that happens, your business, which was valued based on those 80+% margins, is suddenly looking a lot less like a tech giant and a lot more like a low-margin hardware company.
That has to be an existential crisis for a CFO.
It is. And the flat rate model just makes it all so much worse, especially when you factor in the power user problem.
Ah, right, the power user.
This is the clearest sign of why that flat rate model is basically suicidal now.
Yeah.
In the old world, your heaviest user paid the same as your lightest user. And it didn't really matter.
Okay.
But let's say a company charges, $20 a month per seat. For a typical user doing a few AI summaries, the compute cost might only $2 or $3. So the company's fine.
But what about that person who lives in the tool all day? The one generating complex reports, summarizing dozens of documents.
That's where the math just completely implodes. That small slice of power users, maybe 5–10% of your base, they can easily burn through $50, $75, even $100 of GPU time a month.
So the platform is now losing significant money on its best customers.
Every single month. They are literally paying their heaviest consumers to use the product. You just can't build a business on that.
So if the marginal cost is no longer zero, and for some users it's actually astronomical, then that all-inclusive subscription idea, it has to be terminated. It becomes a liability.
It has to go.
And this financial pressure, it forces the inevitable retreat, doesn't it? We're watching the death of the unlimited plan in software. I feel like we've seen this movie before.
We absolutely have. Just think about mobile carriers. They were so happy to sell unlimited data until 4G and video streaming made usage explode.
And then suddenly they had to redefine what unlimited meant. You got throttled speeds, hidden caps.
Exactly the same moment.
Yeah.
SaaS companies are now realizing their capacity is finite and, frankly, incredibly expensive. So they're scrambling to rethink their entire pricing architecture.
So if flat rate access is gone, the future is moving towards what our sources are calling tiered intelligence.
That's the new stratification, yes.
So you're no longer just paying for the key to the door. You're paying for the quality of the computation you actually need.
That's it. You'll probably see a standard tier, which gives you access to smaller, faster, and crucially, much cheaper models. These are perfect for simple things, formatting, quick edits, basic questions.
Keeps costs low for everyone.
Right. But if you're a power user or you need that strategic output, something that requires deep reasoning or access to the latest, most powerful flagship models,
The ones running on the most expensive GPUs.
then you have to upgrade. That's your premium tier. And the price difference isn't arbitrary. It reflects the real physical difference in computational cost.
And to support that, we're seeing the return of something we thought was long gone, metered billing.
It's a pivot back to usage-based credits or tokens.
Right.
Basically, users have to buy a certain amount of compute up front. When you run out, you buy more.
It's a really smart move because it pushes the consumption risk off the provider and onto the user. It forces you, the customer, to be financially disciplined.
And the ultimate expression of all this is what some are calling the Uberification of compute, dynamic pricing.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. Because if GPUs are a physical, finite resource, their price must fluctuate with demand.
It does. Dynamic pricing means the cost of running an AI feature could literally be higher during peak business hours in New York when global GPU demand is high.
And on the flip side, the system might offer you a discount if you label a task as non-urgent.
Exactly. Let it process during off-peak hours somewhere else in the world. You're paying a price that reflects the real-time scarcity of the physical hardware.
So given all this financial pressure, survival for these providers now really hinges on just aggressive efficiency.
They cannot afford to be what we're calling computational spendthrifts anymore. They can't just throw the most expensive, powerful model at every single problem, regardless of how simple it is.
So the goal is to stop paying for a $1,000 model to answer a question that a 5-cent model could handle just fine. The software company has to become an intelligence broker.
That is the pivot. An intelligence broker knows how to route the request to the least powerful model that can still do the job, which maximizes their profit margin on every query.
That sounds like a really sophisticated technical challenge, though. You have to save those pennies without degrading the user experience. How do they actually do it?
It's a critical two-step process: intent analysis and model routing.
Okay.
So first, intent analysis. A very lightweight, super cheap system analyzes the user's request first. It figures out, what are they actually trying to do? Is this a simple grammar check, or is it a complex strategic analysis?
And that first check has to be almost free, right? So it doesn't add to the cost problem.
Precisely. If it identifies a simple task, like formatting, that request gets shunted to a small, cheap model, costs fractions of a cent. But if it recognizes the user is asking for high-level reasoning,
Then, and only then, does it escalate to the big, expensive flagship model.
that selective routing is the entire margin protection mechanism. It's the new gatekeeper.
And speaking of offloading costs, I guess the ultimate move is to shift the expense away from their own cloud servers entirely.
And that's where you get edge AI and local processing. What's really fascinating here is the strategic push to move AI tasks away from the expensive central cloud and onto the user's own device.
Their laptop, their phone.
Yep. It's a genius move because it directly shifts the electricity and compute costs back to the consumer.
That's brilliant.
For certain simple models, like spell checking or basic image edits, it works beautifully. The provider offloads a huge expense, and the user gets super fast performance because the data never leaves their device. It's a win-win.
As long as the task is simple enough.
Correct.
So while companies are racing to do all of this, they're also dealing with this other problem, what our sources are calling a hidden liability, a sort of time bomb in their old contracts.
Oh, this is a huge legal and financial mess that's unfolding as we speak. A lot of companies, especially the early adopters of Gen AI, they made these big sweeping promises to get market share.
Things like all future AI functionality included or unlimited AI features.
Exactly. Which sounded like a fantastic low-risk perk when the features were experimental and nobody was really using them.
But now usage is scaling like crazy.
And the true costs are crystal clear. So those legacy contracts are turning into these massive, unplanned financial liabilities. They're legally obligated to provide a service that is now crippling them financially.
So what can they do? They can't just terminate the contracts.
No, so the race is on to plug the hole by changing the fine print. They are frantically adding fair use clauses to their terms of service.
It's the mobile data playbook all over again.
It's the exact same thing. These clauses give them the legal cover to throttle AI access or start charging extra if a user crosses some computational threshold.
But wait, isn't there a huge risk there? If you start throttling your highest consuming users? Well, those are often your most valuable, most loyal customers. They're going to be the first ones to notice the service getting worse.
That's the tightrope they have to walk. It's solvency versus customer satisfaction. They have to find a way to make the high-cost user pay a fair price without driving them away to a competitor who might still be burning through VC money to subsidize a flat rate.
So the message to the consumer, whether it's explicit or not, is that the era of software as an infinite free resource is just, it's over.
It's officially ending.
So what does this all mean for you, for the consumer, for the informed observer? I mean, this transition from traditional SaaS to AI SaaS it's a profound journey. We're moving from a world of digital abundance where copies were free and costs were fixed
To a world of physical discipline where every single query has a measurable, non-zero physical cost attached to it through GPUs and electricity.
software companies just cannot afford to be these computational spendthrifts anymore, mindlessly throwing expensive models at simple problems.
I think the key takeaway is that the winners in this new era won't just be the ones with the best features. The long-term survivors will be the ones with the most efficient unit economics, the ones who can broker and route intelligence to protect their margins down to the fraction of a cent.
That all-inclusive vacation for SaaS is officially over, and going forward, everyone is going to have to start paying one way or another for what they actually consume.
The price of your software is going to reflect the real physical cost of global compute scarcity.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the shifting sands of the software industry. If you want to stay well-informed, curious, and ahead of the curve, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now.
We'd really appreciate it.
We look forward to seeing you in the next deep dive.